Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 598. I hope you're doing well, as you probably know by now, because we mentioned this on our episodes, that there's being broadcasted live on YouTube, on Facebook, and also Twitch. And all you got to do is just search my name in either one of those, and I should show up. And in this episode, we're talking about rising up. Are we rising up to the opportunities all around us? It's a big question that we've got to ask ourselves. And if you're really honest with yourself, for a lot of us, we may not be really rising up. We might be shying away. We might be hesitating. We might be self-sabotaging. We might be having worries and doubts and anxieties and fears and limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs, physiological issues, psychological, emotional issues. And I get it, we're human. We go through life experiences. But even though that is true, does it mean we should hold back from taking advantage of the opportunities? Should we hold ourselves back? Because that is the question we have to ask ourselves. Are we willing to stay the same? Are we willing to remain the same for the rest of our life? Are we going to be stuck in this situation where we feel like we cannot move or we cannot breathe? And I say no. I say we are going to get ourselves out of this situation. That we have to double down on what is good and what is right. Where we have to get to a place in our mind that we, even if it's really bad, usually when it is bad, that is really the instigation of us. That's the instigation of change. So ask yourself, are you really rising up to today's challenges? Are you going for the things you really want out of life? Are we taking action? Are we learning? Are we growing? Are we going into situations in our life and just thinking, maybe I'm not capable. Maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I don't have the ability to get what I want because my past has dealt me these cards and it makes me feel small, it makes me feel broken, it makes me feel as if I'm unable to move. But we still got to say no to those. You see, just this weekend, I've been teaching people to be and do what I do for a living. And we really get to a point of understanding about how the mind really works. In any given moment, we are deleting opportunities. We are distorting them. We're even generalizing those limiting beliefs that if I can't do this, maybe I can't do it anywhere. That it's always going to be painful. It's always going to be a lack of abundance, a lack of money, a lack of work situations, a lack of relationships. You see, when we keep telling ourselves these stories, when we keep on repeating the same past experiences, the past patterns, we are just looking for more of the same. We are looking for that validation. And isn't it interesting? Isn't it weird that our unconscious mind can seek out validation to stay the same? It'll literally look for the lack of opportunity to tell you and show you that is why you cannot do what you want to be doing. It'll be seeking out anything which is similar to that limiting thought that we have in our mind, the limiting belief, or the decision we've made unconsciously in the past. Maybe we were hurt. Maybe we went through a significant emotional event. And it caused us to have this perception on life, this distorted, this deleted, this generalized, limiting mindset that your subject's reality is showing up all the things you don't want, all the doubts, all the lack, all the scarcity. But we have to remember, it wasn't always that way when you came into this earth. You didn't have that limiting set of beliefs about yourself. You didn't have that scarcity. As we were growing up, yes, maybe things began to happen. Events happened to us and it molded us, it sculpted us into having that limiting set of thoughts and that limiting set of beliefs. But that is not who you are. You are not your belief systems. It is something that you act out. It's something that you behave. It's a process. It's not the essence of you. It's not the real you. You're far more than that. So let's not let our past cause us to make us feel like we're broken and have that brokenness or the lack and the scarcity out there into the future. We do not want to be projecting that scarcity, that limiting set of ideas that we've had. Because those limiting ideas become like a virus. They grow, they begin to expand into different situations. Maybe that lack and that doubt came from one event and maybe it grew into one area of your life. Maybe it was relationships, maybe it was just the money situation or just the career, but after a while, your unconscious mind's intelligent. It'll start to spread that into other areas of your life if it feels like it's applicable. That fear, that worry, and scarcity starts to go into those different areas of our life. And we know that to be true because sometimes issues get worse. We see them show up in our different areas of our life. So remember, what is the resistance that we have about going for those opportunities? Analyze it, be conscious of it, notice it, welcome it. Don't run away from the limiting thoughts and beliefs. Don't run away from that resistance. Because if you run away, that resistance is just going to grow, it's just going to expand. And we don't want that. What is wrong when looking in the mirror and asking ourselves some deep questions? What am I really fearful about? What am I really scared? Is it about me and my ability? Is it about what someone said to me and I took it on as truth? Ask the questions. Shine a light on that darkness. Shine a light on that limiting resistance. For that resistance can teach you a lot. It might not solve the situation. However, you will start to understand the situation. You see, most of the time we're doing things unconsciously. We're repeating those past stories at an unconscious level. And if we're doing it at an unconscious level and we keep on repeating them, it will keep on doing the exact same thing we've always done. We need to make the unconscious mind conscious. We have to be conscious of what is happening. We've got to break it down as a strategy and understand what is the root of my issues. What is the root of all this stuff showing up in my life? Because it's showing up for a reason. That resistance is a signal for you to pay attention to. If you were feeling unwell one day and you had some certain symptoms, you would not ignore them. You would pay attention to them. If you hurt your body in some way, let's say you hurt your leg quite badly, you wouldn't be running marathons, you wouldn't be walking, you'd be trying to pay attention and diagnose what is the issue with this physiological situation. So why do we run away from our emotions? We don't do it when we're hurt, we don't do it when we're unwell. Some of us may do, but we know what happens if we keep on ignoring it. That pain gets worse. And the problem becomes more cemented physically. Well, surely the mind does the exact same thing with our beliefs, with our psychological, our emotional aspects of our beingness. So don't run away from resistance. Don't run away from your fears. Look at them. Understand them. Analyze them. What is the cause of all that pain? What is the cause of all of that resistance? It's not going to be many things. It's probably going to be one thing or maybe two things. But once you understand what that root is and where it came from maybe, Understand the intention, because we know, if you've been listening to me for a while, for every behavior that we have, for every problem that we have, there's going to be a positive intention. Your unconscious mind doesn't run any of these things to try to hurt you, although maybe it feels like it sometimes, because anxiety does not make us feel good. The imposter syndrome makes us feel bad, but your unconscious mind is not doing it for a reason to hurt you. It is doing it because it's all it knows. And that perception that we have, that subjective reality of lack of opportunity, the scarcity, the doubt, will delete every good thing that is possible. There is no difference between you and I and everyone else. Why is it that some people can take advantage of that opportunity where sometimes we feel too small to do so? All it is our mind. All it is the beliefs that we hold about ourselves, that prison that we build within our mind unconsciously because of those experiences and because of those events. But it doesn't have to dictate who we are. It doesn't mean that it has to decide this is who I am as a person. You're far more than that. You might not believe it yet, but you can at least decide that something's got to change. And only you can be the instigator of that. Only you can be the one who can change your mind. Yes, get the help, get the support, hire someone to support you through that process if possible. But you are the one that can make this change. So look at that fear, look at that doubt and understand it. Realize it's trying to protect you in some way. It's just misguided. When you realize it's just misguided, maybe you can start to retrain it. Maybe you can speak to it differently. Maybe you can be more stoic in your thoughts. Maybe you can start to understand those intentions and understand that within you, that even though that fear may consume you right now, there'll be maybe times when it doesn't. There'll be times in the future where you will look back and realize that you've conquered that fear. That you've conquered the core of the creation of that fear. Because fear is not the thing that always consumes us. It feels like it, but it doesn't exist in of itself. There's something behind the fear. There's something behind the scarcity which generates it. The fear, the worry, the scarcity, the lack of opportunity is a byproduct of something else. It's a byproduct of a mindset or a decision or a limiting belief. For that limiting belief, and we all have unique ones, that's why I say it's always good to seek out help for this. Get the expert rather than trying to figure it out ourselves. Get outside the box, have a different perception, a different level of understanding. But that fear, that worry, that lack of opportunity that was presenting itself is not the thing which is the issue. That is a symptom. It is something that we're going through. It's something that is being played out by something else. We got to get to the point of understanding that we're not to be run by our emotions. We're not to be run by the lack or the scarcity. You have all the potentiality to change this situation. You have exactly what you need. All you need is that desire to change. You see, on the one hand, there's that part of you saying, look, it's too hard. I haven't been able to achieve it yet, so therefore I'm a failure. Or maybe I was told that I've got to do everything perfect, and therefore let's just not do anything. Because I'm always going to analyze it and go, I was just never up to it, so I better not do anything. There's that part of you, but that part is unconscious. That part of you is playing out that story. Now, I believe there's another part of you wanting to break free, another part of you which is willing to do whatever it takes to get out of this situation. That's what I believe. I mean, you've got to decide that, though. You've got to decide that there's another way of being. You've got to decide that even though on the one hand my unconscious mind is running this, on the other hand there's that part of me wanting to break out, to look for the opportunity. Most people try to look for the quick fix or the big transformation. They just want it now. We live in a society of, I just want to make money now. I want to be able to get to $10,000 right here, right now, every single month. Or they want to be able to just quit the imposter syndrome like that so they get that promotion. Whatever it is for you, realize it's a process. It's not just like turning the lights on and off, flicking the switch. It's a process of realization. So in the beginning, it may be hard if you're doing it by yourself, and that's okay. You can start to build the momentum up. You can start to build that energy up, looking for the wins. Even all this stuff is showing me up all this scarcity and doubt, I'm going to look for the opportunity. But try not to look for the end goal. Let's just say you're consumed by fear and your goal is to be absolutely free of it. It's a nice one to have, and maybe that change, that transformation is too big, and therefore we go, what's the point? And we self-sabotage ourselves. What can I do each and every day to just grow closer to what I want? Not all the way there straight away. I mean, it may take a couple of weeks if you work with someone. It may take a year or so walking by yourself. It could take less, and hopefully it does. But realize it's a process. In the exact same way that our limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves, the limiting thoughts that we have about ourselves, that past experience of how we hold that in our mind, it's a process too. It was a process to acquire the fear. It's a process to acquire that scarcity and that lack of abundance around us. But that's all that we see. It is still a process. So we must dive all in and figure out, well, what is the process that will allow me to get out of this pain? What is the thing behind my symptoms that is creating everything else? For when you work on the one thing, you will change the everything. I'm going to say that again because it's so important. When you change the one thing which is propping up all the madness, all the issues, when you change the one thing, you change the everything. You will see a new experience. You will see a new reality. You will see those opportunities because they're always there. But usually our attention is focused on the doubt. Our attention is seeking out more of the pain, more of the scarcity. We need to change that focus. We need to change that experience. We need to change that level of expectation. Rather expecting more pain, let's expect something good. Let's expect something out of the ordinary. Because we might think, oh, there's people doing these extraordinary things. They're still people. So let's expect something different. Let's expect a different set of results. Let's develop a psychology of success where you are adapting yourself and you're learning in the moment. You need to get to the point where you look in the mirror and go, I don't like what I see, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I'm going to take it on. I'm going to educate my unconscious mind. I'm going to educate it and get it on my side. And that is the most exciting thing for me. When I see people making changes, when it was so hard, and then you see them on the other side of that transformation, and they look back and they go, do you know what? Yeah, it was bad, but I got through it. I got to the point where I had to take that action. I had to go all in on my happiness. I had to go all in on my freedom. I had to realize that it is a process to change. It's a system to change. It is a science. It is an art and a science. You see, the science comes from the neurology and the habits and how the unconscious mind works, but then putting the art into the process, the therapeutic skill set to make that change. Maybe you listen to hypnosis sessions. Maybe you work with a hypnotist. Maybe you seek out a psychologist. I mean, I'm all in for anyone wanting to help someone. So whatever modality that you use, whatever vehicle you use to do your transformation, realize it's a process. So be gentle on yourself. Be gentle that it can take time. But opportunities are always around you. But right here, we're deleting them unconsciously because of the beliefs we hold about ourselves or the world. If you believe that money is the root of all evil, of course, every time you think of money, every time you seek out and look at the news, you will only see the evil around money. Because that confirmation belief bias will cause your mind to look for it. It is sending the signal to focus on more of it. We are deleting all that is good about money. If we have that limiting belief that we're not worthy or enough, or we feel like an imposter, of course, you're only going to see situations where you feel like an imposter. You're going to delete situations of good things coming your way or the good opportunities because that limiting belief is telling you, well, I'm not enough to get those. So your unconscious mind will assume the responsibility and just delete it for you. It will bypass the consciousness to the point it will skip things. You won't hear what people are saying. You'll read past that classified advert to get the job of your dreams. Your brain is designed to delete things, distort things, and generalize things based on the beliefs that you have about yourself because of our past situation. You see, our past is the framework of what we believe to be true now and in the future about ourselves and about the world. So unconsciously, it will run those beliefs and it will be deleting reality. It will be deleting aspects of your reality. And that deletion is the opportunity all around you. So if you want to be able to get the opportunities, don't have that wishful thinking. Don't expect someone to save us. Don't expect, well, I might change next week. Make the decision to go all in on understanding the nature of your mind, understanding the constructs of the beliefs and the values that are creating the conflict, to understand that what is the deeper nature of this. Is this an example of something that I do in many areas? Is it the story that I play out in my mind, which is just held by that one thing? That one thing creating all that pain, all that missed opportunity? Because if we stay the same, we're going to be the same. But maybe it gets worse. We know that it expands a little bit. It bleeds over to other areas of our life. If we're having it in our career, we don't want it in our relationship, so let's go ahead and start now. Let's start now and do something different today. Pay attention. Not to the outside world around you, because you are seeing the subjective view of what you and your unconscious mind thinks is true. And you'll only see what you believe to be true about yourself and about the world. Why not let's just change the filters of the mind? For if you change your belief, you change your reality. If you change your value system within you unconsciously, you change your reality. If you change your limiting decision of the past, you change your reality. If you release the negative emotions and attachments of the past, you change your perception, you change your reality. So break it down to a process where you can start to analyze it, dig down and go, okay, if there's the one thing, I'm now going to go all in on that one thing. That resistance will disappear when you start to acknowledge that. But it comes from you, and that's what I really want you to get, is because when you make this change, it's also because of you. You might get help along the way. You might get help people from professionals or from friends or from audios or from videos. Hopefully this one will help you in some way. But it still comes from you, and that's the good news, because you are ultimately in control and you can be the victor of your life. You can be the victorious person that allows you to enjoy so much more out of life. It will allow you to enjoy the things that you want. It will cause you to look for the results, look for the opportunity. So any fears of rejection is a protective mechanism. Any limiting beliefs about yourself is a protective mechanism. So we need to know that by finding the root cause, and then educate the unconscious mind. Give it the necessary unconscious transformation to realize there's so much more to be had. There's so much more enjoyment to be had in the world. That is what I am looking for. You see, when I speak to people who want to get on my program, for example, I know the ones who are going to succeed, and they're the ones who join the program, who get accepted into the program. And it's not to be mean to the ones who don't, but sometimes they don't want it enough. They're not resourceful enough. They say it's going to take too long to let go of an issue in 8 weeks, to spend a couple of hours a week, maybe an hour a week. That's too much time. That's too much time compared to the existence of the many years you've had the problem, compared to the keeping it for the rest of your life. It's a perception shift. We need to change our perception. We need to look from a different filter, a different lens. What's important to you about changing your life? What will it give you? What will it allow you to do? What will it allow you to experience? Consider those things. Consider that is the opportunity. That's where we want to be. We don't want to miss out on those opportunities. And the only reason why we're missing out on them is not because they're not there. They are there. It's just that our mind is deleting the opportunity based on those filters, based on our experience of the past, the limiting decisions. Let's deconstruct them, put it down to a process, put it down to a strategy, figure out that one thing. When you figure out that one thing, say it again, change the one thing, we transform the everything. That's what we gotta do. So the decision is not if there are opportunities out there, because there are. Not if there's just lack, because there isn't just a lack of opportunities. The decision is, am I going to change the filter that creates the perception of the lack of opportunities, which is causing me to miss out on money, causing me to miss out on getting that client or breaking that record-breaking business month that you'd like to have. Releasing those limiting money beliefs, releasing that imposter syndrome when it comes to developing your career. That's what we gotta do. And to me, that is so amazing, because you are in control of that. You are the one that can make this happen. Get the help, of course, if you can. But realize no matter if you do it by yourself or you do it with someone, you'll be the instigator. You'll be the person who carries it out. And each small win will cause that filter of yours to just expand more, to see more truth, to let go of that resistance, and to share the transformation with everyone in your life. And to me, that's pretty awesome too. The fact that you can be the example of what can be done and show it to your kids, your partner, your boss, your customers, your employees, to show up differently, to show up as someone who assumes that responsibility in getting it done, who really makes the change. So make that decision. Are we going to be just the effect of life, a product of life? Or are we actually going to be an example of what can be done? Allow life to be a product of what we choose to create. And that's where I get curious. That's where I get excited. That's where I try to think of solutions and ideas for people, because I love that responsibility for myself. And I want you to have that, to assume it. When you take back the power, you will take back the lens that you've been seeing through, the perception. Just keep tweaking it. Keep on resolving it, working on the root cause. That's what you gotta do. It's not rocket science. It is a science, which makes it more simplistic as a strategy, but it's not crazy hard. In fact, I know for absolute deep certainty, transformation is one of the most enjoyable experiences, with me anyway. I don't know about other people, but it's gotta be this enjoyable awakening, a shedding of the past, a shedding of the darkness, lighting it up to be illusionary. And of course, if you need help with that, you can always go to josephclough.info/power, and you can go on this little webinar masterclass. It's like 30-40 minutes. See if it resonates with you. It may do, it may not do. And if it doesn't, it just means you're getting closer to the one which will work. But maybe you'll resonate with it. Maybe you'll apply it to your transformation. You'll book a call with us, fill out an application, and when you do that, we'll see if we can help you. If we can help and transform you and let it all go, we'll say, yeah, easy. We'll let it go all in 8 weeks. Simple as that. But we may just say, look, what you're experiencing is just beyond what we do. We can only work with people who are super committed, super invested, super willing, super resourceful, who want it as much as I want it. And that's great if people do want it that way. That's what we've got to go ahead and do. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to speaking to you in a future one. Many thanks, and goodbye.